Hi guys, this is Allison from Alley Cat Creations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you have yet to do so. And if you get anything from my work, just anything at all, please share, subscribe, and hype my channel and any one of the videos you might be hard aligned with. It's chilly down here. If you get anything from my work, a connected dot, an epiphany, a mind explosion, a new book to read, a new author to explore, artwork to create, please consider supporting my work. All the links will be at the bottom of the description of this video. So just look down, scroll, scroll, and you'll see all the information there. alleycatcreations211.com is my website. There you will see paint and sip paintings, craft and sips, hyper-realistic portrait drawings, candles, pyramids, skulls, all kinds of good stuff. And if you're interested in any of it, please email me because I do everything privately. I have 3D memberships. I have 4D memberships. They're memberships nonetheless. And you guys get special emojis. I do go live Tuesdays and Fridays. For the most part, we do a lot of fun things on those lives. I'm live for a couple hours. Um, but not just emojis, you guys also get every weekend an hour plus long oracle card reading for the collective. It's a small bunch of people who support me, and they get phenomenal results in those oracle cards. Just healing words, things to focus on. Nothing, you're not going to find out if your lover is coming back. I'm not, no. This is how to heal and how to go in deeper. So check that out. I do have raffles, and if when I do have them, you guys get free entries into them. And 4D gets to work behind the scenes with me once I can never finish my slideshows and presentations. They get to have first take and give me some very vital feedback. So I do appreciate my 4D members. They're being very patient, and I working diligently to figure out what goes on in life. Today we're going to do the Hermit's Journey. I'm coming back to the Hermit's Journey because as we've all had periods of aloneness, solitude, reflection, inflection, grasping the why of life, the how can I do this better, the somatic tuning of your nervous system, which a lot of us are doing currently in different modalities. A lot of us have been forced into this again by the universe, by self, higher self, navigating us. It takes some quiet time to really delve into not just healing. This time feels different, and this time it's not necessarily the ego death. It's not actually saying goodbye to the personality. It's not all of those things. It's a little bit of all of it. It's the ego death, but not completely. You still need it to survive here in 3D. It's more of a recalibration of your energy. For years, 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 if you're following the Schumann resonance, years, you are understanding that you're getting downloads, uploads, and those come in the forms of epiphanies, synchronicities, angel numbers, songs from spirit, just the knowing, your clairsentience, cognizance, are the clairs are heightened. Your ears are tuning, your body feels like it's been hit by a Mack truck. And sometimes it is really okay to take time to do the inner work, but also the rest. Your body is recalibrating at a mitochondrial level, at a microcell level. Your atoms are recapitulating themselves. You're recalibrating to higher frequencies. You're holding more voltage and wattage in your body. I don't know if we can hold watts, but if we do, cool. Um, but we conduct electricity and we're holding more of it. We need more grounding, different types of grounding. It's not just to go outside and put your feet in the grass. That's not always going to be your answer. And not to say that it's a wrong one, but there are a lot of us, like including myself, that need a lot more of different modalities to ground, especially when things are a little chaotic in life. The hermit journey that many of us have taken on has like these wavelengths of forward momentum and like the 25 million step back process. Like you think you're getting out of it, and then something puts you right back in, you've been in a worse spot. Sure, test from the universe. Everything is a test from the universe. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? It doesn't seem like we're never ever going to get ready. But we eventually move past it. Now, listening to a lot of different videos, um, there's some stuff that I think is more programmed. You are where you're supposed to be. And if you are not, we're not perfect human beings, and we're not Buddhist monks to be sitting in and doing throat vibratory singing and chanting for hours on end. We're not there. That's not our paradigm. That's not the experience we God chose to have through us. I don't necessarily believe now that I'm listening to more people in different realms of thinking. I don't care how many people are mediums and how many spirits they talk to. There's just stuff I don't correlate with, and you guys might not correlate with me, and that's totally fine. Absolutely fine. Again, here we go with the tuning in my ear. It itches and tickles at the same time. And no, I'm not like jamming my hand in. I'm opening up the airway over there in my ear. Um, the talk about getting stuck here, we chose to be here. Then how could you get stuck if you chose? Well, I've been looping else in every life. Well, every life has a different dichotomy and a different paradigm. Not all are run by Illuminati, not all are run by nefarious negative entities or aliens or power over, and yet you still keep giving your power away to this shit. Then you're your own cause of looping. Get out of it. And I think a lot of us are starting to realize that it's not necessarily getting stuck. This earth is not a prison per se. You could define it as that if you would like, but that's not going to get you out of it or up to another level. The first episode I did was the Plato's allegory of the cave. And sometimes we lose sight of what the self is and experience. And I got this beautiful book here. It's something I read a long time ago in college. Totally forgot about that I read this book, and I was looking for some literature to like Nisha and like Manly P. Hall. They gave stories fictitious, but the journey of a hermit, the journey of somebody finding themselves and understanding the world around them by observation, taking this step back. Obviously, you are the observer observing and the observed. You're doing all of it in one shot, in 1 second. It's coming down and breaking those things down, and like what parts of your personality are you masking to bring out to the commandery man? How do you go about when you go inside and do the work? How do you now translate the epiphanies, the downloads, what you're getting from upstairs Downstairs, doesn't matter, it's all one. Wherever you're getting your information from, how do you transcribe it and put phraseology to it to deliver it with coherence? How do you help other people understand what you're saying? Because for the longest time, I'm not going to lie, I still get it to this day. My brain goes into modes of thinking that I don't even understand sometimes the things that I say, but I say them anyway because it's not me. It's upstairs. The Wisdom of Life and Counsels and Maxims, Arthur Schopenhauer. He's one of my favorite philosophers, if we don't know that already. Um, his work is a bit different, way different actually. But he comes from a different thinking pattern. The World as Will and Representation is a book that actually one of the many maybe three books back in college that saved my life. Didn't really comprehend all of the metaphysics in it. Didn't grasp all of it in wise words. Like I got a lot of good stuff out of it, but the perception, the projection, the feeling I got off of the book really aided me in moving forward with my life and not feeling so stuck in making things detach in my world. Like, why are you giving so much attention to that shit? Why do you attach your emotions to things that don't serve you? Is it the humanness in you? What is it? And I think as we're sitting here getting rid of the old self, if it hasn't already collapsed, there's many of you that are still in the process. I don't know where I'm at in the process, to be honest with you. I don't. I just show up in the now moment. I don't expect nothing. I just live, right? Not because I'm depressed, not because I don't want better for myself. I'm putting that into the field. And I don't believe every one of those videos is like, oh, if you're exhausted, you're doing it wrong. Like, there's no, how do you do something wrong? If it's coming from your heart. Hmm. But I am going to read some sections here um, that I think are really good, that might put some things in perspective. Maybe, maybe not, but I seriously came down here. I'm exhausted today. I haven't looked at the Schumann yet today. I know there was two blackouts. I saw like a posting earlier, and I, I kind of closed my eyes for a little bit, made some coffee, and said, okay, clean slate. What do I got down there? Because every time I look online, I'm not finding any kind of material that I could present to make things make sense in the way that my brain wants it to make sense. So this is something that I'm gonna, like the other books, I'm gonna go in and out of paragraphs here. But it's a lot of things to ponder, but also to really hone in on for yourself. This is one like not known. I'm sure, philosophers and people that know his work know this book. But to like the everyday person that don't read existential philosophy or don't know about Schopenhauer, and it, it could be revolutionary to be self-sufficient, to be all in all to oneself, to want for nothing, to be able to say omnia mea mecium porto, that is absurdly the chief qualification for happiness. And hence Aristotle's remarks, and it's in Greek, so I don't know what it means. To be happy means to be self-sufficient, cannot be too often repeated. It is at bottom the same thought as it is presented in the very well turned sentence from Chamfort, sorry, which I have prefixed as a motto to this volume. For while a man cannot reckon with certainty upon any one but himself, the burdens and disadvantages, the dangers and annoyances which arise from having to do with gotta love that, having to do with others, are not only countless but unavoidable. I like this. For while a man cannot reckon with certainty upon anyone but himself, so you have to hold yourself accountable. The only certain thing is your reaction for yourself. You don't know how other people are going to react until it happens, until the reaction, you observe the reaction happening. You can only keep yourself accountable. And that's the refinement a lot of us are going in with right now, is how do we refine and get do better with our responses to stimulus outside of ourselves that is sometimes like insanity. What are you drawing your attention to in this world? And how are you delivering your response? The burden and disadvantages, the dangers and the annoyances which arise from having to do with others are not only countless but unavoidable. You can't avoid society. You got to go out every day. Even if you have agoraphobia, at some point you have to talk to somebody. You have to get your taxes done. People call you on the phone. So even if you don't go out, you still can't avoid the outside world. It's going to be there. It's there for your experience. There is no more mistaken path to happiness than worldliness, reverie, high life, for the whole object of it is to transform our miserable existence into a succession of joys, delights, and pleasures, a process which cannot fail to result in disappointment and delusion, on par in this respect with its obligo accompaniment and the interchange of lies. That's kind of what we're trying to do. But I think we're doing it in a bit of a different way. We're taking the things that don't make us happy. We're taking the bills, the accumulative nuances of the negativity of this world, and we're trying to transmute it to positivity. But with some of that, there are disappointments because you can use the Q analogy for that in itself. All these codes and things have been thrown in your face for those of you that looked at it. Not that they're a bad thing, look at it in a neutral standpoint, right? Certain things have transpired, but not in the way that was projected to you or that you interpreted. Um, there are people that took it to delusional land and made it fanatical, mythical, sparkle, sharks, and unicorn farts with glitter, right? But you can use that analogy with anything. You know, people have these like grandiose ideas in their head and they're running with it, which is great. And I'm not saying not to, but you got to look at if there is a delusion there. There are people doing beautiful and brilliant work out there, and the structure, well, if this could make it to this and this could stop comparing. Your business is not going to be Amazon because Amazon is on false premises. Walmart and all these big conglomerates, like people are overextending like a lot, a lot. but it could get as big as. Cool. I would love to see that happen, but why are you comparing it to anything else if it's a unique thing? We're only going and bridging things to our experience because that's what we're taught to do, and we need to stop doing that. We have obligations in this world, and our obligation to ourselves is to stay alive and to survive as far as you can go, and to do, the golden rule with all things. How many people actually live by that? And within that, there's manipulators, there's marauders, there's interlopers, there's all these people that want to take away from your experience. All society necessarily involves, as the first condition of its existence, mutual accommodation and restraint upon the part of its members. This means that the larger it is, the more insipid will be its tone. A man can be himself only so long as he is alone. And if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom. For it is only when he is alone that he is really free. This is one of Schopenhauer's most famous up there quotes. And I believe that that quote alone, a man can be himself only so long as he is alone. That doesn't mean alone forever. That doesn't mean you got to love your solitude. You got to love yourself. It's self-love. It's honoring and having worth and value of yourself. And I believe at this time, a lot of us are in that capacity of making sure that anything flying at us from the old past echo of the obsolete timeline, that we are standing in our convictions of value, of worth, of self-love, of unconditional love, that we are not escaping that. And the solitude is also a test. It's testing you. But it's one I think anyone can pass if you start loving yourself and taking value within yourself, not letting yourself go. Constraint is always present in society, like a companion of whom there is no riddance. And in proportion to the greatness of a man's individuality, it will be hard for him to bear the sacrifices which all intercourse with others demands. Solitude will be welcomed or endured or avoided according as a man's personal value, like I just said, is large or small, the wretch feeling when he is alone, the whole burden of his misery, the great intellect delighting in its greatness, and everyone in short being just what he is. Further, if man stands high in nature's list, it is natural and inevitable that he should feel solitary. It will be an advantage to him if his surroundings do not interfere with his feelings. Yes. For if he has to see a great deal of other people who are not of character with himself, they will exercise a disturbing influence upon him. Adverse to his peace of mind, they will rob him, in fact, of himself and give him nothing to compensate for the loss. That's why people are falling away from you. That's why you're decohering from people. When you're around a bunch of people that are thinking the same way, and when you deviate from that thinking, whatever it is, or you have a adverse opinion, something that is not of the group mind, the hive mind. Now, I'm not calling those people bad, you know, but there are groups out there, there are individuals out there that kind of group up. It's like the mean girl effect. And if you're not with them, you're out of that group. It's all about your peace of mind. In my journey, spirit gave me divine neutrality. And as I understood it, embodied it, and walked it, that takes time. You know, once you get a concept and comprehend it and make it make sense to how you live your everyday life, and then you start embodying it by walking it and practicing it and doing it and applying it. And once you got it down pat, you start seeing that you're not what you once were, you're not no more. And that change of thinking, that change of looking at the world differently sets you off different from the group of people you were just with. And eventually it gets to a solar maximum where you're like, okay, I got to burst or I got to get out of here because my energy is being confined. I got to go. I got to be released. And that's how people are decohering. Your vibration is high or in a different wavelength of those people. I'm not saying they're low vibe or high vibe. They're just not vibing on your frequency. They're not tuned to the radio station that you're tuning into. And you want to have peace of mind. Even if you're the lone soldier in the middle of the woods, how are you going to survive that? What kind of mindset are you going to have? You don't want anybody robbing like energy vampires. So brilliant. Oh, it gets better. What offends a great intellect in society is the equality of rights, leading to equality of pretensions, which everyone enjoys, while at the same time, inequality of capacity means a corresponding disparity of social power. So-called good society recognizes every kind of claim, but that of intellect, which is a contraband article, and people are expected to exhibit an unlimited amount of patience towards every form of folly and stupidity, perversity, and dullness, while his personal merit has to beg pardon, as it were, for being present, or else conceal itself altogether. Intellectual superiority offends by its very existence without any desire to do so. This is what we're seeing in our world today. And this, wow, it's true. We're watching it play out right now. The injustices that many of us found out things 10 years ago, if not a longer time than that, is now being brought to light. What the F is that bullshit? If I were to commit a crime, if I don't pay my bill, right? Some people get away with it and still get their stuff, and yeah, later down the line they might get a slap on the wrist or whatever. But for the most of us, we get our electric shut off, the lights get shut off, like we have to pay fines, and like Johnny Q, world basic person gets fucked. It's just weird dichotomies here. The worst of what is called good society is not only that it offers us the companionship of people who are unable to win either our praise or our affection, but that it does not allow of our being that which we naturally are. Hi, all of you out there. It's true. It's true. It compels us, for the sake of harmony, to shrivel up or even alter our shape altogether. That's why we're needing to be authentic. Intellectual conversation, whether grave or humorous, is only fit for intellectual society. It is downright abhorrent to ordinary people, to please whom it is absolutely necessary to be commonplace and dull. This demands an act of severe self-denial. We have to forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to become like other people. I like how they're like how Schopenhauer is saying this because it's true. It's not even like everybody perceives being intellectual, book smart, street smart, whatever. Everybody has your genius in something. Like people are genius at going on the corner and making $500 a night. There are people that work themselves into the grave doing menial work. There are people that just only know trivia games. Like I can't do those social norm trivial games, Trivial Pursuit about everyday facts. I fail at that stuff because I'm not interested in any of that. I don't watch television. I haven't, and I don't like pop culture or into the great, the things that distract most of humanity. I don't do that. Does that make me any less of a human? But does it make me actually lower my standards? Or it's not even to be mean. It's just like I'm a different type of human being. And I am not masking myself or dulling myself to fit in, if that makes sense. And I hope that none of you are either. No doubt their company may be set down against our loss in this respect, but the more a man is worth, the more he will find that what he gains does not cover what he loses, and that the balance in is on the debt side of the account. For the people with whom he deals are generally bankrupt. That is to say, there is nothing to be got from their society which can compensate either for his boredom, annoyance, and disagreeableness, or for the self-denial which it renders necessary. Accordingly, most society is constituted as to offer a good profit to anyone who will exchange it for solitude. Loneliness and solitude have their evils. It is true. But if you cannot feel them all at once, you can at least see where they lie. On the other hand, society is insidious in this respect, as in offering you what appears to be the pastime of pleasing social intercourse. It works great and often irreplaceable mischief. That's a program. Ordinary people are sociable and complacent. Just from their very opposite feeling to bear others' company is easier for them to bear their own. Moreover, respect is not paid in this world to that which has real merit. It is reserved for that which has none. So retirement is at once a proof and a result of being distinguished by the possession of meritorious qualities. It will therefore show real wisdom on the part of anyone who is worth anything in himself to limit his requirements as he may necessary in order to preserve or extend his freedom. And since a man must come into some relations with his fellow man, to omit them to his intimacy as little as possible. So everything that's being said right now that I'm reading to you is what we all need to overcome and conquer. and how we don't want our world to be, how we are writing a new paradigm, a new code, a new reality. And this is just bringing out some very deep, hidden social norms that we're all going to have to face at some point. A lot of us understand the hermit's journey because we've been in it for a long time. We've been in it in phases. We understand the complexities of being alone, being in solitude, whether you're married or you're or physically in aloneness. And aloneness doesn't need to be a negative. It could, people are I'm hyper independent. Not that it's not a choice, but we're seeking a better society and how it runs. And I would say, like, let's not do what he's explaining. We want to prop up everybody equally, and everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. We can't hold, and I hate to say this, but we really can't hold everybody to the same standards because everybody's standards are at the level of the truth that they're inhabiting. There are people that just don't hold the capacity to be above a certain level of intellect. There's other people who are like far more brilliant in certain areas and very poor in others. It's a large standardized social norm that we need to get rid of. Sure, we should treat everybody equally. We should give compassion to people. Everybody's at different stages and levels of life. And we need to hold people's actions accountable, sure. But when it comes to respect and value and worth, most of us feel very maybe in the past alone. And I think this time of now, we're being propelled into stop hiding your intellect, stop hiding your thinking. Even if it doesn't make sense, one person might pick up on something that they will run with. And another person might pick something else out that you said that they can run with. Why are you hiding your genius inside of you? Just because a collective of people don't quite grasp what you're saying in the moment, that doesn't mean in 10 years that they're not going to grasp a bigger totality of like, oh my God, that's what she meant? What? And I get that all the time. I can't tell you how many people I went to high school with that did not comprehend half of the things I was trying to convey to them. And later on, they're like, oh my God, remember that conversation we had at like fourth period? Remember that? Oh my God, that was like you lost me. You lost me, Allison. You lost me. But like now I get the big picture. Holy shit. Right? Like we're gonna have moments like that, and it's gonna be momentous. Not everybody's gonna get what you're delivering right in that moment, and sometimes they will. But stop hiding yourselves. And that's a part of why when I do lives, I'm so happy that people jump in and just pour out, vent, right? And there are people that are super compassionate that are sitting there giving healing and giving perspective and giving a different viewpoint because we all have different lived experiences. We all feel and experience differently. The way I feel and have expressed love and had it come into me is different from each and everybody because I am the only one to know how that love feels in my heart space. Sure, there's commonalities. We can put definitions of things to make a commonplace, but no one's going to know the exact feeling that I feel because words can't describe the frequency that runs through your body. Maybe a math equation, but that might not equate to someone's brain either. Crazy. It's crazy. So when we're thinking about collapsing the wave function and bringing in a different world and bridging heaven to earth, in the structure of our coding, we also have to take a look at the dynamics of how we want humanity to play itself in our new paradigm. It's still going to be a movie, it's still going to be a hologram, it's still going to be whatever you want to label it to be. It's still going to be something. And within that something, humans need to grasp how they want society to run. Even I don't care if there's a false collapse here, if whatever happens, that's not only going to dictate because you're going to go to the reality in which you chose to go to and experience. But how do you want people to show up for you? This hermit's journey right now, a lot of us have been taken, not fully out of society. We still have to show up to work and commute and do things. But how would you like society? It's a good question to think about. How would you want society to show up for you? You know, and not just from your perspective, like how would you want the guy down the block to treat the neighbor next door? There are grumpy, grumpy, grumpy people out in this world. There's people that are out there to manipulate you. There's people that are taking advantage of every kind of facet you can think of. If those people were wiped out, and no society is ever going to be a perfect society, for sure. That's never going to exist. I mean, and if it does, that's great. But I honestly think you still need contrast here. You're still going to have it. That duality isn't going to fly away overnight. That takes another 1,000 years, if hopefully less, for the human collective to really get to an awareness of unity. It's nowhere near there yet. I mean, in one day in the history book, someone writes, we were the forefathers of this awakening, the remembering, the coming into an acknowledgement that we're here to rewrite the story and we get to shape what it looks like. So, how do we shape society? We are the active observers sitting back in the chair, observing how society is running, and we don't like it. I don't think anybody that watches me can say that they really enjoy every facet of society. The duality of it all sucks. You got right versus left, red pill, red pill, red pill, blue pill, blah, 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 blah. Instead of saying everybody's a portion of God and we love each other and let's try to look, you can be and have your different feelings. That's fine. How are you respectfully projecting them? Are you manipulating the system? Are you doing the righteousness and doing the works? If you want to be a part of the Christ consciousness, and I think there's not just Christ consciousness, I think there's multiple things going on as well. Some of us are a part of that paradigm. I'm a part of the Christ conscious paradigm, but not everybody is, and I'm okay with that. I don't want to like the biggest lesson I have ever taken as a child was so many people imparted Jesus on me, and I didn't. I grew up Jewish. I was in a Jewish household. We don't talk about Jewish Jesus. We don't talk about that stuff. That's not what I grew up with. And when people would throw the Bible down my throat and oh my God, you're a sinner and you're this and you're that, and like, okay, but thou shalt not judge. So why are you doing that? Do you hear yourself? I don't want to force things down somebody who is not ready to hear. Um, and I think all of you are at that same place where you're, talking to Aunt Betty and she's just so adamant about her beliefs. She's not really receptive to yours, and it's just like an impasse. And at that point, you either you allow that person to decohere out of your field because they're not like the first part of what I was saying in this book. If they're not going to honor and value your opinion, they don't have to accept it as their truth. And maybe a smart person would expand on it and learn more and make a better informed judgment before they spew their ignorance, right? Or you just let them go. It's Aunt Betty. She's a part of your experience for a season, maybe. Who knows? Don't get attached to the family and the lines and the bloodlines and all this stuff that everybody's so hung up on. Stop getting hung up, period. I think that's one of the biggest lessons in my hermitum. If it doesn't put food on my table, if it doesn't pay my bills, to be happy, to be complacent, to live a righteous life. If it doesn't have anything to do with that, it doesn't hold place in my frequency. If it doesn't bring me joy and happiness, and warm and fuzzies inside, it has no holding and bearing in my life, you know. And I would say take stock, do an inventory of what is in your life, who is in your life, and take stock of where they have placement in it and what role they serve. And this is not something that's easy to do, and it's not even a healing modality. It's something to start recognizing when we shift and we collapse the wave function at 0 point and we're tuning into a new reality. The reality subconsciously, this is where a lot of things could, I don't want to say go wrong because I don't think nothing will go wrong. It's just don't expect either, but just think about this. If you're not thinking about these complex stuff, you can get the husband, the car, the job, the this, the that, but you can also get the reality where you get those things, but everything is a fight, is a struggle. It's not that you're not content and happy that you have the objects of desire, the things that will help propel you forward. It's that the process becomes a freaking lunatic asylum. It's, yeah, I got the new job and I really love what I do, but I'm working with crazy people. People that want to trigger every fiber of my being. Well, what went wrong in your observation? We're here in this recalibration period right now to really set aside what we actually want and bring it in. And this is the energy in which we're doing it. We're going to do it in stair steps. A lot of us are doing it stair steps. I am one of those. They're going to come slowly in. My soul chose the long route, not because it wants to see me suffer. It's because slow and steady will win the race and will win me the better rewards if I'm patient than to just rush into everything and my frequency can't hold the bigger and better. Right? Like I come to that realization. I trust me, and the universe also tests me on the other side, like, oh yeah, your bill is due and you can't pay it. Agree. Thanks. Right? So how do you measure that out? Not easy. I'm always finding good parts. I have said that people are rendered sociably by their inability to endure solitude, that it is to say, their own society. They become sick of themselves. It is this vacuity of soul which drives them to intercourse with others, to travels in foreign countries. Their mind is wanting in elasticity. It has no movement of its own, and so they try to give it some by drink, for instance. How much drunkenness is due to this cause alone? They're always looking for some form of excitement of the strongest kind they can bear, the excitement of being with people of like nature with themselves. And if they fail in this, their mind sinks by its own weight, and they fall into grievous lethargy. Such people, it may be said, possess only a small fraction of humanity in themselves, and it requires a great many of them to put together, to make up a fair amount of it, to attain any degree of consciousness as man. A man, in the full sense of the word, a man par excellence, does not represent a fraction, but a whole number he completed in himself. A man of intellect is like an artist who gives a concert without any help from anyone else, playing on a single instrument, a piano, say, which is a little orchestra in itself. So much, so much. Peace of mind is impossible without a considerable amount of solitude. Accordingly, it cannot be said that the love of solitude is an original characteristic of human nature. It is rather the result of experience and reflection, and these in their turn depend upon the development of intellectual power and increase with the years. Yes. However painful solitude may be, he says be careful not to be vulgar, for then you may find a desert everywhere. To care little about the constant company of others, just as little as the schoolmaster cares for joining in the gambols of the noisy crowd of boys which surrounds him. When you find human society disagreeable and feel yourself justified in flying to solitude, you may be so constituted as to be unable to bear the depression of it for any length of time, which will probably be the case if you are young. Hey, bet you crazy, bet you crazy. Let me advise you then to form the habit of taking some of your solitude with you into society, to learn to be to some extent alone, even though you are in company. Not to say at once what you think, and on the other hand, not to attach too precise a meaning to what others say, rather not to expect much of them, either morally or intellectually, and to strengthen yourself in the feelings of indifference, neutrality here, to their opinion, which is the surest way of always practicing a precise, worthy toleration. Neutral. If you do that, you will not live so much with other people, though you may appear to move amongst them. Your relation to them will be of purely objective character. Yes. This precaution will keep you from too close contact with society and therefore secure you against being contaminated or even outraged by it. Yes, because you don't want your energy feeding things that you disagree with. That subconsciously, it's their plant's energy within your subconscious to keep you in a stuck place or the loop or the program. Society in this respect, like a fire, the wise man warming himself at the proper distance from it, not coming too close like the fool who on getting scorched runs away and shivers in solitude loud in his complaint that the fire burns. Yes. And I think for many of us have taken those steps uh organically for ourselves. We were in groups and with people that gave warm and fuzzies at one point, and then vile or, but you didn't attach because eventually people do change and people change their perspective on the world and how it runs. Some people get forced into solitude and then they find out, and with reflection, no, I was going about this the wrong way. Or not that it's wrong, but like now I need to change my perspective because now I see a larger picture. And for us, and this is where I'm at, I sit in neutral land, not because I don't take a side, not because I don't agree to disagree, because I am not emitting energy for food and fuel for things that I absolutely will not feed any longer. And I'm not feeding groups of people or their thinkings of destruction, death, and oh, but that's just. I'm not God in that. I'm not playing that role of God in that instance. That's not my place to play. And I'm not judging others anymore for those things that they do. Envy is natural to man, and still it is at once a vice and a source of misery. We should treat it as the enemy of our happiness and stifle it like like an evil thought. This is the advice given by Seneca, as he well puts it. We shall be pleased with what we have if we avoid the self-torture of comparing our lot with some other and happier one. And there's a lot of Latin there. If a great many people appear to be better off than yourself, think how many there are in a worse position. In fact, that if real calamity comes upon us, the most effective consolation, though it springs from the same source as envy, it is just the thought of greater misfortunes than ours. And the next best is the society of those who are in the same ill luck as we, the partners of our sorrows. I don't like when people compare situations because we all feel things at different levels. Like when someone loses a job, or when people rightfully, like myself, took a position and lost everything. I don't envy anybody, and I don't want to be compared to, well, someone has it worse than you. Yeah, third world country don't have food. Okay, but you're invalidating my feelings. Like, stop doing that. Stop comparing. Everybody has their own feeling of hitting a rock bottom. Oh, you'll get out of that. Oh, you'll be provided for, and sometimes you're not. And let's be realistic with that. Sometimes the universe does not provide. Sometimes what you think another person will do, they don't, and then you had the capacity to do and you didn't. Again, not putting fingers or judging anybody. It's just this is the human capacity of thinking. We, I lost both my parents and not a damn person cared, but like the guy next to me lost their parents and everybody's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." It's all a matter of perspective and how you take in energy. And that's another paradigm that we need to shift when we're collapsing heaven and bridging earth together. How do we want these dynamics to flow? And this is very complicated stuff, but it does play a humongous role in our society. We want everything to be rosy and peachy keen and harmonious, and it not to say that it will never come to that point, but we got to look at the deeper logistics and the philosophy behind what we want and how we want society to function once we're talking about a dynamical realm that has not sprung itself out into material world yet. How do we want people to play their roles? We're still playing roles. We still have contracts to play out. We still have people to intermix with. We still have an economy and a political system to collapse and build back up. How do we want these things to look? Not many people are tackling that. We just want like the better things for ourselves, and I agree with that. I totally want that. But in thinking of humanity and how we want society to run, I think one of the biggest steps we can make for ourselves is stop invalidating everybody's experience and saying, well, someone got it better than you, someone got it worse than you. Stop comparing. Everybody wrote an experience for themselves, and thou shalt not judge. So why are you making something inferior or superior to the experience? It's still an experience, it's still felt, it still has to be dealt with, and it still has to be walked through. That doesn't get invalidated. It still has to be whatever you're going through in your circumstances, you still have to go through it. And people that are not compassionate and not giving the ear and not giving the hug and not giving the heart and not trying to, at least give you some comfort, like, and advice, if we want to help those, have it come from a neutral standpoint, not one from a judgment place. I don't know if that makes sense. But if we're looking at words from the 1800s, holy fuck, for reals. If we had, if we have made obvious mistakes, we should not try, as we generally do, to gloss them over or to find something to excuse and extenuate them. We should admit to ourselves that we have committed faults and open our eyes wide to all their enormity, in order that we may firmly resolve to avoid them in time to come. We all, uh, we all do. And a lot of that is contractual. A lot of us say things we don't really mean, and not because it's a part of the plan. It's some of it is, but we still don't like that. And to say, oh, wow, like I misperceived something or I misinterpreted something, or it's just that's the forgiveness. That's the energy that we need to be being in is forgiving, forgiving yourself. Yeah, I made a mistake. Oopsie. Uh, But do it in a sincere of will of intention that you want to do better and get better results next time. These are the things that we don't want to repeat. I mean, right now, the monopolies, the people that are bought, all the whole entire economy needs to be refined and recalibrate itself. We need corporations to be recalibrated and refined and made better. We need structures if we're going to keep capitalism, we need everything structured differently. We need people's hands not in every goddamn pot for greed. We need things to be as simple as possible that anybody, even if you don't speak the language, can understand. It shouldn't be, if things get that complicated, it means there's something to hide. Just my opinion. The only complexities in this world is things that have yet to be discovered and of like quantum physics, of thermodynamics, or things that, like, obviously not everybody is a mathematician can get. The complexity is there. But like in layman's terms, building and functioning of society, like everybody at some point needs to understand. Like if you don't know what a stop sign means, that's a good example. Mostly little children like stop, halt, no movement. I think everybody universally understands that sign. Maybe not. I don't know. But for the vast majority, humanity knows certain signs. They're universal signs. Easy, understandable. Okay, cool. Now, how do we translate a lot of society to these symbols or these terms that could be that simple that everybody gets and agrees upon and move happy, hunky-dory about life? When we look at legalese and we're looking at phraseology and etymology and looking at the structure of how our languages are, if you can't comprehend something, that means it's too complicated, and that if you need a specific person to give you layman's terms for legal documents or for whatever, it's too complicated and it shouldn't be. Things should be in terms that everybody can get. Common people, I'm not talking about people with disabilities or capacities. I'm talking about just a layman, everyday person should be able to represent themselves in court without a million and five different books to describe to you how to debate a case. I'm not saying law that has to go down, but shaping and bridging our worlds together. These are the things that need to be addressed and manifested and collapsed into and at 0 point. When you're broadcasting your tuning system from your nervous system, what are you broadcasting, not just for yourself, but for humanity? What song, what orchestra, what harmony are you pitching your tune to? Because we need a lot of the things that are being brought up through a lot of Schopenhauer's observations about society and humanity. Where could we use this and really think about how dynamically we need things to change, but how does that look? What does that look like? And it's up to some of us to actually write it. Crazy enough, right? Night gives us a black look to everything, wherever it may be. This is why our thoughts, just before we go to sleep, or as we lie awake through the hours of night, are usually such confusions and perversions of facts as dreams themselves. And when our thoughts at the time are concentrated upon our own concerns, they generally are as black and monstrous as possible. In the morning, all such nightmares vanish like dreams. As the Spanish proverb has it, noche tinta blanco el día. The night is colored, the day is white. The sight of things which do not belong to us is very apt to rise the thought, ah, if that were only mine, making us sensible of our privation. Instead of that, we should do better by more frequently putting to ourselves the opposite cast. Ah, if that were not mine. What I mean is that we should sometimes try to look upon our possessions in the light in which they would appear if we had lost them. Whatever they may be, poverty, health, friends, a wife, a child, or someone else we love, or horse, or dog, it is usually only when we lost them that we begin to find out their value. But if we come to look at things in the way I recommend, we shall be doubly the gainers. We shall at once get more pleasure out of them than we did before, and we shall do everything in our power to prevent the loss of them. For instance, by not risking our property or angering our friends or exposing our wives to temptation or being careless about our children's health and so on. Every one of them contains the germ of illusion and disappointment and is inevitable when our hopes are shattered by the hard facts of life. I might do more of this book. I really do. That every one of them contains, so I'll read it in context. We often try to banish the gloom and despondency of the present by speculating upon our chances of success in the future, a process which leads us to invent a great many chimerical hopes. Chimerical hopes. Every one of them contains the germ of illusion, and disappointment is inevitable when our hopes are shattered by the hard facts of life. Why I've been saying, and this is something that I've been living by um, for a while now, is to stop having expectations. We should have standards for ourselves and hold ourselves accountable, of course. But when we are trying to collapse the better version of ourselves, like we know there's a version of ourselves that has what we want, a world, a paradigm that we have all the things that we want, right? Not everything is going to manifest in a snap, and not everything is going to come to you at once. It's just the way reality works in third dimension. So expecting certain results will alter its effects when it comes into the cause. No expectations. You never know what's going to come into the pathway the universe puts in your path. You don't know what your soul has planned for you. You still have the veil of forgetting. We are not aware. Even us beautiful people with abilities are not given preview. We are given a timeline specific by a medium or a psychic that gives us a reading and says, well, this could be a potentiality for your future. That's if you do X, Y, and Z. But even if you do X, Y, and Z, that there's no guarantees in this world because your soul knows best. But your soul is not going to tell you, oh, well, if you wait 6 months, like, yeah, that new job is on its way. It's not going to give you that. And for some people that have that ability, God bless you. But then what are you learning in the meantime? You're just complacently sitting there going, oh, okay, month two, log. I'm sitting and waiting. Like you're not doing anything to have more of a cause and effect and a faster collapse, perhaps. Everything has divine orchestration, and that's where a lot of the confusion, the stagnation, the angst, the anxiety comes from. And it's not out of a fear, it's out of, okay, like real deal reality is playing out. I still have to be an active participant in it, and from the journey of the hermit, how do I navigate this in society to get the things that I need in order to survive and to be content and happy? Even though that's still a fleeting fledged state in our existence in this paradigm. Um, but these are the things when you're sitting in your aloneness, in your solitude, and you're doing your inflection, going inside yourself to make these queries and inquiries for yourself. We always focus self because you can't pour from a full cup if it's not full. You want your cup overflowing. And you want to be able to impart that cup on everybody that you come into contact with. So, yes, you have to have a service to yourself in order to be a service to others, if that's your intention. How do we close the gap in on the larger sum of humanity? How do we postulate this? The more we do the work somatically on our nervous systems, and not everybody has to do it this way. I actually find joy and pleasure in doing it. Um, Sometimes it's hard to keep up with it because life does happen. Uh, but growing your frequency in your heart space and grounding yourself and getting the rest that you need and being compassionate with just yourself and having grace for self because you're gonna mess up. You're gonna have days you forget. Oh yeah, I woke up and I checked my phone instead of doing my morning routine. It happens, and you got to forgive yourself and just pick up. Um, what do you want for the greater humanity and for some of us that are really in this work to shift humanity in this time of inflection and understanding and going inside self, beyond the purging, beyond the needs that we all have, how do we want to show up in society and how do we want society to reflect back the mirror? And that's being a model of what you want society to be, and it will reflect itself back out to the greater totality of the people in your community, and that will ripple in the wave. If you don't do the self work and you don't go into hermitum and you don't refine and recalibrate your nervous system and self, your cells, your cellular network is recalibrating right now. I mean I am in awe at this chart right now. My jaw is absolutely dropped. I didn't see this today. I knew we had a blackout, but I didn't like take the glance for myself. This is major, major. So if you're not feeling it today, like today, um, I felt very scattered. And when I got home, I kind of rested myself and tuned out for a little bit. And when I came back to like awareness, like everything was super fucking bright. Little baby P came today, and I was so excited that he wasn't frozen somewhere and he's alive, and I'm so happy. Because I don't know where he goes. And if I could take him in, I would. He's so scared. He like hides when I put the bowl out, and then he knows like I'm not going to hurt him. Like, please eat. I don't know what possums eat, by the way, if anybody can let me know. I don't like to go based off of stuff, but I mean, holy mother of downloads and uploads and frequency with the full moon energy still here. Wow. Wowie, wow, wow. This is insane stuff. We're dropping things in, and things are going to start materializing. And I think spirit and upstairs has me doing these like pointed this book out. I haven't touched this book in years. And some upstairs made me grab it and go, okay, like, so you're doing the work on yourself. Great. So everybody's doing the work on self. Great. But like now we have to start thinking when we're doing this solitude thing and we're really working on letting go of the old self and but the old world, the old ideals, the old systems, we're seeing things collapse. We're seeing finally certain things happening in our outside world we were told 10 years ago would happen and it never did. So again, we're catching up. Great. We've been shifting different realities too. I think watching Patty Broussard the other day, and like again, I love Patty, but there's a couple of things I just don't align with, but that's okay. It's good to have a different perspective. Um, and listening to people give their take about the Mandela effect and how we are shifting realities. We really are. It just looks similar to the one that you're in. It doesn't necessarily like Bashar describes it as, and the Kabbalion and all these other books that talk about the laws of nature. If you really think about it, you are vibrating right now. You just so minimally in your eyesight, you can't see that you're vibrating. Everything in you is vibrating and moving. Your cells right now are moving every blah, blah, blah. You got bacteria, blah, blah, blah. You got a lot going on inside of you you're not aware of. Unless you really tune into it and then you start seeing it. You're just here consciously, and a million different functions are happening in your body in this moment. There's a lot of the cogs in the wheels moving and trying to sync everything to smooth it out to make the shift easier. We're supposed to do this all together. But a facet of what I'm being brought to put out into consciousness right now is yes, we really need to understand we got to let these certain things go in our lives. But when we're shaping and rewiring and recoding for the new life, for the new reality, for the collapsing of a better heaven to earth, what are the things in society that we just don't want? And we're not all going to agree on it all, but coming to a commonality of, okay, like, yeah, definitely not that. We want more of this. What is that? We want everybody to be valued. And I think that's one of the biggest things holding up society is that we don't value everybody as God because your beliefs hold you back because you are raised to know that a person that is homosexual or that inverts themselves are the spawn of the devil, and they're not. They're just a different expression of God testing you to see if you are judging. And yes, there's manipulation in all realms. What are you buying into? Are you buying into it all? Uh, the political divides, the things going on in the outside world, are you entertaining it? And if you are, why? Because okay, but look at your beliefs. And then strip away your pride of culture as well. You're human first and foremost. I'm not telling you not to be proud that you came from a country, speak a language, have an ethnicity to be proud of. That's not what I'm talking about. You hold yourself to that cross so much that you can't expand to see everybody as soul and as a vehicle of expression of God. And you are holding, the I've been hearing a lot of the racism thing coming back. It's a certain month. There is, I hate to break it to everybody. There is studies that our brains are creating color. Brain, the process that our eyes and the lens of our brains, the information that we are receiving, not channeling, but we give things color. The real world is black and white, like a dog and a cat see. Do we really know how they see? I don't know. But what I can tell you is that animals have a sense of more of an intuition. They see auras, they see things beyond the veil because they see multidimensionally. Some of us have those abilities, but scientifically, there's been articles that I've read that kind of blow my mind that really there's no color. Maybe tones and hues. I have to go find it and I'll read it for you guys. It's a very interesting thing. If people would look at each other as a vehicle of soul and not as a color, ethnicity, and we put the pride down and we just look at each other as a human race, because let's just give the analogy, if the aliens drop down tomorrow, what does your skin color have to do with anything? It doesn't. You're human and they're going to want your soul. So think about that dichotomy. Just think about it. The aliens come, it's just like the 9/11 analogy I give. I was there that day. Were you asking somebody for their ID to make sure that they weren't Jewish, that they weren't Muslim, that they weren't on a terrorist watch list? Like, no, in the moment, like you're helping people. You're not asking them you're doing a human thing. You're helping people. You're not asking them, oh, sir, do you wear a bra under your shirt? Like, you're not asking that stuff. You're doing the human thing. You're not asking somebody for their last name. You're going and helping. That day, 9/11, I was there. I saw the damn shit happen. People were hysterical. No one knew what was going to be next. So everybody was evacuating all the buildings. Everybody was in mass chaos. It was nuts. But the people who are grounded, who had the natural instinct to go and help people and calm people down, they did. And they weren't asking if you're gay, straight, white, black, Hispanic, from a different country, a different language. People were there for each other. Well, if the aliens drop down tomorrow, I mean, we're all aliens and they're here, they've been here, but if they actually show their appearance and people don't believe it and they're skeptics, okay, so there are going to be some of us that are grounded that go, oh my God, it's okay. Calm down, right? There's a lot of us out there, more of us now, right? And it's in our hermitism that we grow this awareness. It's taking the step back and inflecting in self, and how would you react if this happened or that happened? You know, what is the mastery of your reactions? And that is fine-tuned when you're in yourself. You can't be in yourself when life gets busy and you are all over the place. And I'm having that right now where I'm really like, I'm not in my Saturn return. My Saturn is in Scorpio, but it's hitting my sign. So it does affect me to an extent. And Saturn's about structure and like pushing forward. And that's what I've been doing on a, on a certain scale. It's not going to hit me so hardcore like other areas, but it's hitting me to like drive the nail in and say, hey guys, like, I'm seeing this. What are you seeing? I'm not always right, and I don't want to be right. I hate to be right sometimes. I really do. But I think our abstract thinking of the world helps shape a better one. Because we're looking at dynamics and we're looking at different structures. We are seeing a bigger totality of the world, that if it were to be a certain way, if we can manipulate, not manipulate in a bad way, but if we can take in superposition the structure of how humanity should be for 1,000 years of peace, what does that peace look like? How does that formate? How does that structurally look like? Because the program has to be erased. And many of us are in our black screen right now, closing out tabs and recalibrating to get the new operating system up and going. It's like when your phone has an update, you can't really use it. And it's like, here, just keep me plugged in, but like, and right now, a lot of us are on that black screen. So there's a lot to think about, and there's a lot to really take into what do we want our lives to look like, and how do we want those interactions to be? Because when we're focused only on the things that we want, it's object, it's people, places, and things, like singularly, not necessarily totally. And in humanity, we need to figure out like what structure of society do we want to keep? What is not working? How could we reformat and rewire the structure of how the world should operate? We're not all going to agree on these things because we're all from different perspectives. But I know that certain paradigms are just not working, and those things need to go. And if we could take something out, first and foremost is greed, taking advantage of others. That's huge. And I think that's what stops a lot of people from thriving in this world. Not, you still need money and energy to survive. And sometimes the most brilliant people with the best ideas never get off the ground because they just never got the backing to have that launch. And if more people had the resources, and if resources were readily available to all, without any kind of oh, you only get it because you're this, and like labeling everything and structuring things in such a way, it should be open source for everybody. And I'm hoping that that happens more so with things of physical use. So I'm gonna leave it here, guys. I can go on for hours with this stuff, but I think first and foremost, keep doing the work on yourself. Don't give up. All of this is necessary, and I don't know. I The confusion is still there for so many of us because we still are recalibrating. We're still getting rid of things. Tabs are closing. Like rewiring us takes time. It doesn't take a day. It takes time. So in this time, we are growing each and every day to be a bigger and better facet of humanity. So keep up the good work. The journey continues. And it's okay once in a while to go in and inflect and introspect. Sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, and protective energy. Please go within. Be the shoulders. Be the lighthouses. Sprinkle and seed your truths. Light that path forward. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hype to my channel. Please vote for Freya. There's hope. We're getting there. It's a long haul. It's a fight every day. Vote for Freya. I'm shocked she's in it this long, but she's going to be number one and we're going to win. Um, Make sure you ring the bell icon so you know when I am uploading a new video or go live. More for the lives, since I'm working and I got God knows what else going on in life. I never know when I'm going to go live. So please do that. Otherwise, I hope all of you have a safe, beautiful, and blessed night. If you're in the Midwest or East or wherever you are, when it's cold, please be cozy and warm as best as possible. And I hope you all have a blessed and beautiful night or a day, wherever you are. Bye for now.